Hi, welcome back to the foundational content for the full stack development course. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing embedded controls. At the end of this lesson, you will have a good sense of what embedded controls are and when you might consider using them. Let's go ahead and get started. So at the end of this lesson, we want to be able to know what embedded controls are and when you might choose to use them. As always, we're going to contextualize this lesson within an interview question. So this interview question is: design a portable UI control that provides a secure and compliant way to capture a payment method. So now there's a lot going on in this question, but let's put this on the side and we'll revisit at the end of the lesson. So why embedded controls? Well, oftentimes you find that you need to have sets of functionality in your application that are generically useful to many different applications. Payments is a good example because any sort of e-commerce website or app is going to need some way to charge their users. However, this is a very complicated problem. You're dealing with sensitive information as well as regulatory differences between different regions. There's a lot going on and a lot to keep track of that if every company had to implement that themselves, it would be a lot of extra development effort. So oftentimes in these scenarios, we will turn to embedded controls. And really all that is little sets of functionality that you can pull from one service into your own application. So this kind of falls into what is often known as the principle of dry, which just means don't repeat yourself. You don't want to duplicate the efforts that somebody else already has done. A few good examples of this is, like I said, payments is a good example. Stripe is a company that handles programmatic payments, and they handle all the storing of your customer information as well as compliance for different regions. YouTube is another example that's good for video hosting. They take care of a whole set of problems that you as an individual might not have the bandwidth to take care of, such as content moderation, but you could still upload a video and embed that within your website. Each of these problems have their own sets of challenges, and oftentimes as a developer, it's better to use existing solutions that are well tested rather than building your own. Sometimes you can abstract your efforts into its own embeddable control if you think it's generically useful to others. So this is just a quick diagram of what a payment flow through Stripe looks like. The important thing to take away here is that there's a lot of different steps and there's a lot of complexity hidden behind what Stripe provides. This is why embedded controls often are useful, because they can abstract a lot of this complexity away and allow you to focus on the business logic of your application. So what if you wanted to create your own embedded control? Some questions you might want to ask yourself is, how will my clients communicate with my system? You might want to do that via an iframe, just like YouTube does it, or you might want to use an SDK, just like Stripe does. You also need to consider what views you need to provide, such as Stripe provides their own console, so you can log in and create API keys and view all of your company's payments information. And you also might need to consider if you need to build any APIs to support whatever you're looking to allow other websites to embed. So let's circle back on this interview question. Design a portable UI control that provides secure and compliant way to capture payment method. Well, this is actually pretty much what Stripe does. So our solution is going to look very similar to that. So we're going to provide a console in which developers can create and identify their applications. So this way, any application that wants to use Stripe's payment services has a way to log into Stripe and create API keys as well as view all their payment information. 2, we're going to create and host a payment method form that is able to take credit and debit card information as input and then have it be submitted to our embedded controls custom API. So this wouldn't be the application's API, would be our API, which is akin to Stripe's API. We'd also allow users to embed the payment method form in their web application. This is so that we can be sure that the information is going between the client and our API in a secure fashion. And then finally, we're going to allow developers to manage their users' payment methods within our console. So users will be able to log into our website's service And finally, we're going to allow developers to manage their users' payment methods within the provider's console. So users could log into our website to manage their website's payment information. So that's it for this lesson. Thanks for joining me to talk about embedded controls, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.